Hello all of you. Today we are here to discuss about how to do amendments in reservation. Before starting, I would like to do a small recap about the previous class we did about reservations. Now, before knowing what are amendments and how we are going to do amendments in the reservation, we should recap the previous definition that was discussed in the last class that was about reservation. So reservation starts for the first stage of the guest cycle on the day which the guest seeks a request to the hotel for having a reservation so that he can stay in the hotel for a particular duration of time. Now, when the reservation has been done, the guest want to do amendments in the reservation. So, for knowing further the meaning of amendments and how the amendments has to be done in the confirmed reservation. Now goes the first slide. The first slide says about the reservations. What is the situation and when we can have a requirement of doing amendments in the reservation. When a guest with a confirmed reservations change their travel plans, they convey the same to the hotel. For example, we can take a guest who is about to arrive on 2nd of January now conveys the same to the hotel that now he will arrive by 5th of January because he has some sudden travel plans change in the itinerary. So this change in the type of reservation, the date of arrival, the duration of stay, type of room are termed as amendments. So basically, any change with the confirmed reservations is known as amendment. You can also term is as modification in reservations. In the simpler term, we can use modifications also. Now, in some of the hotel have a policy to charge some additional fee for the amendments. In some of the hotels, they do just free of cost. Now, when you are doing amendments to avoid some confusions or some further misunderstandings, the front desk agent should always record the changes in a specialized form known as cancellation or amendment form that I will show you at the end of my PPT. I will show how it looks like and what are the details we need to fill. Now comes a small example of the situation in which amendments can be done. Now, guest room change is a guest service or a situation we can call when we can have a requirement to do amendment in a reservation. So guest rooms are the most important commodity of a hotel, as you know already. The guest room gives the major part of the revenue to the hotel business. So there are two cases when the guest can have a room change. First, guest himself wants to do a room change. Second, the hotel may wish to upgrade the resident guest room. So we are changing the room, we are upgrading the room of the guest. Then if these two are the cases, then we have to undergo into a procedure of doing the guest room change. Whenever we are doing a guest room change, we should always keep in mind that you have to inform the guest well in advance about the room change so the guest remains mentally prepared by packing his all the luggages on time. Now, the front office agents fills 6 copies of room change slip. Why? Because to have a smooth coordination with the other departments such as housekeeping, reception, front desk, cashier, information and telephone desk and room service also. Why we need to fill 6 copies? Because if the same guest orders some food to room service, then the room service department should know The guest, for example, who is staying in room number 601 is now shifted to 605. So, avoiding any misunderstanding or to deliver the food into 601, he should always deliver in 605. This kind of help is there if the front desk agent fills 6 copies of room change slip. A bellboy is then called and given away the keys of newly assigned rooms to shift all the luggages to the new room. Now, when we are moving the luggages, again we have two conditions over here. One is known as live move, second is dead move. Now, why two conditions? What are these two conditions over here? Why we are calling a move as a live and second one as a dead? Now, live move is if the change of the room is done in the presence of the guest. That means the guest is able to see the change of the room, the shifting of the luggages, what he has. And the dead move is when the guest is not there in the hotel, the guest is not around. Guest is somewhere out of the hotel or maybe enjoying a meal in a specialty restaurant of the hotel. So, when the movement is taken in the absence of the guest, that is known as dead move. So, in the case of live move, bellboy goes to the room, requests the guest to allow him to shift the luggage. In the case of dead move, the bellboy asks the floor boy who belongs to housekeeping to open the guest room and then he shifts the luggage to avoid any kind of glitch or misunderstanding between the guest and the hotel staff. Here I would like to show a copy of a ideas format where we do room change. Okay, here we can see it is mentioned already the arrival date, then how many nights the guest has to stay, and what is the name of the guest. Everything is mentioned. Just we have to mention the change in the room. The room type is deluxe. Now we are upgrading or we are changing the room to the superior form of deluxe room. So now when we are done in the ITS, then the bellboy then collects the keys from the guest of the vacated room and deposits it to the front desk. If the guest is already not there, then the keys of the room will be with the front desk. Again, the bellboy will collect that vacated room keys and then deposit it back to the front desk. Now, as I promised, I will be showing the room change format, what we need to fill in the front desk. If you see in the format, the room change format, which says to write about date, time, and name of the guest. Now you can see two columns that say from and to. From which room, which rate, and which person is shifted to which room, and the newly rate and the person name. And the remarks you write if there was any complaint from the previous room or what was the reason for the front office to upgrade the room of the guest. Now, signature is required of reception, front office supervisor, bellboy, and the room boy. Thank you. Have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed learning the room change format and the amendments of the reservation. Happy learning, students.